Welcome to Books in Brief, the channel that gives you quick and concise summaries of popular books. Whether you're short on time or just looking for a quick refresher, we've got you covered. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into today's book summary. Alone Yet Not Alone by Tracy Leininger. Craven is a gripping historical novel based on a true story of faith, family and survival during the French and Indian War. It takes us back to colonial America in the mid-1700s, during the dangerous time of the French and Indian War. It's the story of two young sisters, Barbara and Regina Leininger, and how their lives were changed forever by tragedy, captivity, and ultimately, faith. Barbara and Regina were the daughters of German immigrants who had settled in Pennsylvania. Their family came to America to find freedom, especially freedom to worship God without fear of persecution. Life on the frontier was difficult, but the family worked hard and trusted in God to provide. But in 1755, when the girls were only teenagers, their lives took a dramatic and terrifying turn. Native American warriors allied with the French attacked the Leininger home. In the attack, family members were killed, their home was burned, and Barbara and Regina were captured. Suddenly, the sisters who had known the safety of a loving family were torn away into an unknown, frightening world. The girls were forced to march for miles through the wilderness. Exhausted, grieving, and terrified, Barbara and Regina clung to the faith their parents had taught them. In fact, the title of the book, Alone Yet Not Alone, comes from a hymn they remembered. The words reminded them that even though they had been separated from family and stripped of everything familiar, they were not truly alone. God was with them. Once in captivity, the sisters were separated. Barbara ended up with one group of Native Americans, and Regina with another. This separation was devastating. They had only each other left, and now even that comfort was gone. Barbara, the older sister, prayed desperately for Regina's safety and clung to her faith that God was still in control. Life in captivity was harsh. Barbara was forced to adapt to a new culture with strange language, food, and customs. She endured great hardships and often feared she would never see her family or Regina again. Yet Barbara never gave up hope. Time and again she prayed, and time and again God gave her the strength to keep going. Regina's experience was even more heartbreaking. She was very young, and her captors forced her to forget her past. She was raised almost as if she were a native child, taught to forget her language, her prayers, and even her family. For years she lived this way, cut off from everything she had once known. But God did not abandon her. Even though Regina couldn't fully remember her past, deep in her heart, the truths of her faith remained. And Barbara never stopped believing that one day she and her sister would be reunited. Years later, after the war ended, captives were returned to their families. Barbara, who had managed to hold on to her identity and her faith, had been restored to her community years earlier. But Regina's case was much harder. After so many years of living in another culture, she hardly remembered who she was. In one of the most moving parts of the story, her mother, who had thought Regina lost forever, tried desperately to reach her daughter. At first, Regina did not respond, but then her mother began to sing a hymn, Alone, Yet Not Alone. The words of that hymn, buried deep in Regina's memory, awakened her heart. Slowly, she remembered who she was and returned to her family. The book ends with this powerful truth, that through every trial, even in captivity, even when family seemed lost forever, God was with them. The hymn that gave Barbara and Regina strength became the lasting testimony of their lives, alone. Yet Not Alone is more than just a survival story. It's about the power of faith in the darkest times. It shows how God's word, planted in the hearts of children, can never truly be erased. It also highlights the courage of two young girls who endured unimaginable suffering but never gave up hope. The book reminds us that even when we feel completely alone, whether it's in times of grief, fear, or hardship, we are never truly abandoned. Like Barbara and Regina, we can hold fast to God's promises. I will never leave you, nor forsake you. That's it for today's summary on Books in Brief. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more book summaries. And if you have any book suggestions or comments, be sure to leave them down below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Books in Brief.